we have our covenant. Let's say these words that bind us together. We, members of the early Unitarian Church of Providence, with respect to the word and dignity of each person, the one that I like to know by many names, and with gratitude for our deep connection to each other and to the larger web of existence, covenant to walk together in our search for truth, seeking the path with wisdom, compassion, and justice. Please be seated. We have now confirmation of the lay ministers, which is on an insert in your order of service.
So Liz directed you all to your inserts, and I would like the current lay ministry team to come forward and please bring your inserts. This would be Mary Frappier, Karen Nicholson, Kim Noble, Andy Wilby, and Sandy Schotten. Come line up right here so we can see you.
Yeah, so you can face out to the congregation you serve. Because this moment, this Sunday, is not an elevation of these parishioners before you, but a recognition of their calling to serve. And lay ministers, oh, I still have my mask on. Lay ministers, you bring to this charge personal skills and the respect of your peers in this congregation. You have the privilege of the trust your fellow congregants do place in you, have placed in you, will place in you, and the responsibility that all caregivers share to honor confidentiality, prepare yourself well to meet needs, and reflect on how best you can carry out your charge. Lay ministry is a challenge and an honor, sometimes daunting, always precious. We welcome you today and thank you for your willingness to fulfill this charge with us.
And if you will read your part. Our lay ministry is motivated by our love for this community, and it is an expression of that love. We will continue to work with the ministers and be guided by the Minister for Pastoral Care, Charlotte, and the congregation in growing and refining our pastoral abilities. We promise to honor your requests for privacy and confidentiality to the very best of our ability. We ask you to call upon us so that we might fulfill this commitment and undertaking. We ask you to forgive us when our best is not good enough or if we disappoint you. We appreciate your trust, forbearance, and talent.
And congregation, you have things to say now. Can we join in speaking the words in bold? We understand that your commitment to lay ministry arises from your commitment to this community, and that you will continue to deepen and refine your pastoral abilities in service to this congregation. We will confide in you when we need you and trust you. We will reach out to you in times of need as best as we are able. We will forgive you if you disappoint us, and be honest in our communications with you. We will let you know when you have helped us. We understand that you are trained and have committed yourselves with all earnestness and wholeheartedness to this service, and therefore affirm you to the honor of lay ministry among us.
And you can look at me. I will help guide the lay ministry program, and I will, along with Reverend Liz, continue to offer pastoral care directly to our congregation. I will support you as your ministry evolves. I will help you establish and maintain safe and responsible standards and boundaries in your service to this congregation. I will be caring and honest with you in reviewing your endeavors. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your work, which extends the caring and connections that are so fundamental to this congregation, our church family. The flaming chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. As a token of our appreciation of your ministry, we give to you this glass ornament, a chalice representing your ministry to carry the light of peace and love, to carry the light of hope and compassion into our caring community.
It's worth mentioning also that these glass chalice ornaments are made by Chris Ballou, who is a glass artist here in Providence and also a member of our congregation. So with all that, with all those commitments and vows spoken and received, First Unitarian Church in Providence, I present to you your current team of lay ministers. And you may be seated. And now, if Joan Richards, our First U President-elect, and Martha Rice Sanders, Chair of the Committee on Ministry and Sabbatical Task Force, could both come forward. And why don't we all line up here? Yeah.
Okay. This is Reverend Liz's last Sunday with us as we start our summer schedule next week, and her sabbatical begins on July 1st. Reverend Liz and First U will be apart while she's away, but we will not be outside of each other's thoughts or care. Even as she is away for reflection and renewal of her spirit and vocational energies, we know she will be missing us, thinking of us all, hoping all is well with us. And we know we will miss her too, even though we also know we are in good hands and taking good care of each other. So while we will be apart during this sabbatical break, we will be united in spirit and purpose. Reverend Liz will be preparing herself to return for all that is next for us to do and be together in beloved community. And we will have our own work and experiences, all we have put in place for the new church year, including her return and resumption of this partnership that is precious to us all.
We want to honor this sustaining dynamic, joined and committed across the time and space of this sabbatical, with a special ritual created for this very purpose. We have two matched sabbatical chalices created by our own member and glass artist, Chris Ballou. The bubble pattern in these chalices was inspired by our beautiful chandelier and the many points of light that comprise our congregation. One is this one, for us to keep here in the meeting house and light during worship at First U each Sunday while Reverend Liz is away. Starting in July, we will light it just after our regular chalice and take a moment to send our thoughts and care each week to her. The other one is this one, for Reverend Liz to take with her on her sabbatical. Each Sunday morning, even when she is in a different time zone, and her Sundays will start much earlier than our own, she will light this chalice and take a moment to send her thoughts and care toward us. In this way, we will honor our commitment and care across the distance while we are apart physically, and renew our sense of relationship and anticipation for our reunion next February.
So Liz, thank you for commissioning these two special chalices for commemorating this sabbatical. Here is your chalice to take with you on your sabbatical journey, to keep our sabbatical trust and connection. Know that we are with you on your journey and looking forward to your return.
Joan and Martha and everyone at First U, here is your chalice to keep our sabbatical trust and connection. My heart and ministry will remain grounded here while I take time for reflection and renewal, and I look forward to returning and resuming our life and work in faith and love. I know that Reverend Roger and Nancy Forstrom and Jen Nardone and Jaime Durango and Pedro Vasquez and Beth Armstrong and Mandy Neff and all our staff and all our lay leaders, including and especially the two of you up here, are going to support First U's flourishing for the next few months before us. And everyone at First U here in this meeting house and all of us who are at home, thank you. Thank you once again for this sabbatical period of reflection and renewal. It is important and it is a blessing, as every Sabbath is, and I am so grateful. And I love you, and I will miss you, and I know I will be so glad to come home. So may this sabbatical be fruitful for us all. And may our reunion be the joyful and fulfillment that I will be waiting for. Now we have the processing of the flowers, the beautiful flowers so many of you brought today for our flower communion service. Can they come up now as Jeff Allard plays music for our procession of the flowers? Our flower carriers this morning include Layla and Jackson Molino, Max Smith, and Piper and Maisie Bariff. The flower communion service, as many of us hopefully remember, was created by Norbert Čapek, who founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia, and he introduced this special service to his church on June 4th, 1923. So we are almost at the 100th anniversary. For some time, he had felt the need for some symbolic ritual that would bind people more closely together. And the format had to be one that would not alienate anyone who had forsaken other religious traditions. So he turned to the native beauty of the countryside for elements of a communion that would be genuine to them. And this simple service was the result. It was such a success that it was held yearly just before the summer recess of the church.
When the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Čapek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every human person to be, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. Dr. Čapek was sent to Dachau, and a year later, about the time his simple ceremony was beginning to spread among American Unitarians and Universalists, he was killed as part of a Nazi medical experiment. This gentle man suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through his flower communion.
The significance of our flower communion is that, as no two flowers are alike, some so vastly different, so no two people are alike, and yet each has a contribution to make. Together, the different flowers form an extraordinary bouquet. Our common bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower, the same as our church community, which would not be the same without each and every one of us. This service is an affirmation of our community and our faith.
Exchanging flowers, we show our willingness to walk together in the search for truth, choosing our covenanted bond over all that might divide us. Each of us takes home a flower brought by someone else, symbolizing our shared connections in this community. This communion of flowers is essential to us as freely committed people in a welcoming faith.
Today, we will celebrate Reverend Čapek's ritual in just a few minutes. As we do, when our time comes, let us each share our unique flower with this loving congregation. Let us rejoice in the beauty we receive in return.
Inch by inch, row by row, some to make this garden grow. All you need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rains come tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Need a place to call my own, for the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way through nature nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Plant your rows straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. An old crow watches hungrily from her perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All you need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone form them from below till the rains come tumbling down.
This is the time in beloved community when we share our joys and sorrows. We're going to begin with 4 candles of joy and celebration. Best birthday wishes to Tony Allen, Mary Frappier, Mary Kohler, and Judy Ortman. We have a bittersweet candle. We are sad to see Alyssa Emerson leave us, just as we are also glad to see she is headed for her own condo in sunny Florida, where we imagine she will be very comfortable. Also, a candle of shock and sorrow. Gary Rose Petruk, who is the son of Gaby Petruk and who is one of our younger members, collapsed yesterday after a 6-mile run and was taken by ambulance to the hospital. We are waiting for word on his condition. A flower of support for Sina Pounder as she travels her treatment journey, which includes going to Boston and back every week. A candle of swift recovery for Bill Twaddell. And a flower of wonder, this is a little tough to read, but a flower for wonder for the rosed words of Emerson, who wrote, "There is simply the rose. Before the leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts in the full bloom flower. There is no more. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike." Many of us consider the rose and were to be happy and strong by living with nature in the present, above time. We're going to move into our time of prayer and meditation. And this is a happy day, so I don't want to bring us all completely down here, but do come to the present moment. Take a couple of breaths with me. And again. And just one more. Before I give you the words, let me remind you that after I speak, we'll have a time of silence. If you have lost someone this year that you want to honor in silent tribute, please do stand with us or raise your hand. please do join us at home as well. These words are from the Reverend Liz McClay. A flower pushes up from late winter snow. A flower pushes up from a crack in the wall. A flower pushes up from a single plant in a desert. A flower pushes up from the sediment and sand of a lake bottom. A flower pushes up from a sheer rock force. A flower pushes up from cracked, dry earth. A flower pushes up from an abandoned flower pot. A flower pushes up from a groove in the sidewalk. A flower pushes up from a well-trodden path. A flower pushes up. A flower pushes up. A flower. A flower. We don't have to cultivate hope. We don't even have to justify hope. We just have to pay attention. The world cultivates hope. The world justifies hope. Reason for hope is all around us in uncountable numbers and innumerable forms. You know what I'm saying. Just look around you. Just look at the flowers. Amen.
Next hymn is number 305, De Colores. Can we rise in body or spirit and sing out? Thanks, Roger.
All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors.
Whenever Dr. Čapek, who created the ceremony, conducted his flower communion in Prague, he would say this as he consecrated the flowers. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask your blessing on these, your messengers of fellowship and love. May they help us to remember to care for one another and for the earth. May they also remind us to cherish love as one of your most precious gifts. May we always remember to do whatever we can do, great or small. The world needs every single one of us. And can we join now in the responsive blessing of the flowers that is in your order of service? In the name of the creative spirit which implants in our hearts that unrest which will not be quenched until people live lovingly with each other, we bless these flowers. In the name of Christ, in which you move and take our being, and in the name of Jesus, which makes every one of us who we are, we bless these flowers. In the name of the prophets and peacemakers who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the reign of mutual respect, we bless these flowers. Let us renew our relationships sincerely to be one family, regardless of the barriers which strain. May these flowers be for us the sign of the glory and variety to which we aspire, knowing the whole while that we are one family, the family of spirit and nature. In this holy resolve, may we be strengthened, the spirit of love, that we ourselves may bloom in the splendor of a joyful life and endeavor to be more perfect in our days. Amen.
And now we will share our flower communion. As we each in turn approach the communion vases, let's do so with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and one another with gentleness, justice, and love. When you come forward, you will select a flower different from the flower you brought with you. Then you will turn and give it to the person behind you, a gift from you to them. As you receive this flower, noting its particular shape and beauty, please remember it is a gift that someone else has brought just for you. It represents that person's unique humanity and therefore deserves your kindest touch.
We invite everyone to come forward. We'll come down this aisle in a row of two, one on each side, and then circle back around on the side to those who are seats. Okay? So we'll go two lines coming down the aisle. We ask you to keep your masks on, and let's have our flower communion together. I need a runner to bring this to Jeff Allard. Is there somebody who's willing to go up to the balcony? And, oh, yay.
John Hickey's coming.
John Hickey is going to make this happen. We've got somebody already coming forward, sweetie. Maybe
You can go with her. John, go with her. Yeah, go together.
You know what? I'd rather read from the one that I've got set up already. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. The offering this morning is for a very, very, very special organization with whom we share. Does he have his flower? Yay!
Salute.
Our offering this morning is for the Institute for Nonviolence here in Providence. I took a quote from their website, teaching by word and example the principles and practices of nonviolence. Nonviolence is active and challenges us to stand up to injustice on personal and societal levels. The principles and steps can be applied to virtually all situations that we experience in our lives each day. Every day we are building our beloved community, reflective of the actions and teaching of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. How many of us in this congregation have heard of the Institute or Nonviolence or had something to do with them or seen them do their thing? Okay, a lot of us. They are so known and esteemed for everything they do. They do hands-on work. They do not just try, they succeed in reducing gang violence and membership in our area, in reducing gun violence, in diminishing also violence and bias in police actions and efforts, in collaborating with state and city service organizations, leadership, and residents, working not just for peace and justice, but also happiness and health, working against racism and also classism, living their vision and walking their talk. They are one of the most impactful and inspiring multicultural, multiracial, and marvelous organizations in this area. And honestly, it feels like an honor to be taking up an offering to support their efforts, which are always underfunded and underserved, even with the extraordinary accomplishments that they manage. So, they are receiving our offering today. Please let us give as generously as we are able to all the ways that they support the values and vision we share, our hopes for our world and our region. Thank you so much for all that you give and all that you do and all that you are. There's not enough water, right? It's gonna be dry. Among the many ways we have to live out our faith, every day and every week we have these particular invitations for you. One is that immediately after the service, a lot of us, perhaps all of us that you see wearing orange today, will be going over to Bethel AME Church on Rochambeau Avenue to join their Stop Gun Violence March, which is starting immediately after we're done here. So you are invited to head over to Bethel AME. They're going to walk. We're all going to walk together over to Billy Taylor Park, where there was a shooting last month, and then back to Bethel, where there is hospitality and refreshments served. They're excited to be doing this with us, and we're hoping for a good turnout. As you probably know, our legislature is still dithering about exactly which measures to pass in the way of ensuring that guns are harder to obtain and easier to manage. So everything we do, everything we show up for sends a message, and they are paying attention. Second, the LGBTQIA Soul Circle Small Group Ministry wishes everyone a happy Pride Month. If anyone would like to join this group, they always welcome new members. They say we meet every other Thursday evening. For more information, please contact Holly Dobbs or John Hickey. Holly and John, can you stand up so anybody who doesn't know who you are can readily see you? There's John, there's Holly. Thank you so much. Our closing hymn is number 78, Color and Fragrance. We're going to do the first 3 verses of hymn number 78. Can we join in singing out and rise in body or spirit? What is perhaps implicitly obvious, that this will be our last time hearing Jeff Allard play as our interim music director. And so I want to invite us all to thank him now for all he has done for us across this really challenging year. Jeff, thank you so much. So many of us, including myself, have loved working with you, and we will miss you and your music greatly. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the tree, and in the hearts of all people the longing for living in love, in the name of the source of all, in which we move and which makes us all who and what we are, In the name of hope, which moves in the heart of every person, which is the deepest foundation for living and loving and working towards what our world and our hearts yearn for. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrifice their lives to hasten the coming of peace and justice, let us renew our resolution sincerely to be real brothers and sisters and siblings, friends, and kind neighbors, regardless of any bar which estranges one from another. In this holy resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing we are one family, that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us. And may we find each for ourselves and share with each other a more perfect and more joyful life. Amen.
Please join in the words for the chalice extinguishing printed in your order of service. We carry the flame and flowers of peace, love, and hope
Until we meet
until
again.
we meet again.